Okay, we're going to talk to Dave Moffett, who is senior practicum student spring quarter in 1978. Dave, when did you first start working on the Miss Blackball State pageant?
Well, I first started working on it around the 2nd of April, gathering information to send out a release, a statewide release, and hometown releases for the contestants.
Well, when was the pageant?
The pageant was Saturday, April 15th at 2 o'clock.
Now, when you first started working on this, from whom did you get your basic information?
Well, my basic information came from the services, student services, black students.
Special programs? Or?
Special programs
Yeah.
house,
Okay.
with Paul Barrett and Dee, the vice president. I don't know if I have his last name, but Paul Barrett was the first person I had contacted.
Okay. Did he seem to be running the pageant?
Basically, it seemed to be between Dee and Paul, who were at the time, I believe, president and vice president of the Black Student Association on campus.
Yeah. Okay. Did either one of them give you any written material about the pageant?
They gave me only verbal material. The written material came from the chairperson of the concert, who I'm trying to find.
That's all right. Take your time.
Chairperson was Yvette Forrest from South Bend, and she gave me the actual written information to start on.
What kind of information did she give you?
She gave me to start out with the pageant receives no funds from the university, and when the pageant would be held, April 15th at 2 o'clock, how many girls were contestants, how much were tickets, who the MC was.
Who was the MC?
According to this, written by the chairperson, Yvette, it's Super J. Johnson of WTLC radio station, Indianapolis. And then it just went on to talk about the coronation ball afterwards.
Okay. Then you proceeded to do these hometown releases and local releases
Right.
and state releases.
I began with a statewide release covering all that she had given me as a public relations practicum student would, working with what they have, and then going into the local releases for the girls.
Yeah. Those went to hometown papers as well as black newspapers in Indiana.
Right. They went to Chicago, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Muncie, among a few.
Yeah.
Maywood, Illinois.
How many contestants were there?
There were 8 contestants.
Then did you do any other follow-up just before the pageant?
Just before the pageant, we did public service announcements, and
How many of those do you recall, or do you have them there?
yeah, I have them here. 1, 2, 4 public service announcements. We each with a different angle, talking about one with the co-eds, one with talking about Jerry Lynn Steele, the reigning Miss Blackball State, handing her crown down or passing it on, and then the one about the actual information, and then one featuring another that we didn't even use.
Mm-hmm. So at least you had 3 on the air anyway. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, then you set up for the photographers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The day of the pageant, you covered the pageant. Right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you get there at the beginning?
Yes, I did. I was at 2:15, and the pageant began. It was supposed to begin at 2. It began at about 2:45.
Did they announce who the MC would be?
They did not announce anything other than the MC was there, announcing everyone else that seemed in the room, giving them some type of gratitude for helping. But there was absolutely nothing that I had heard at all about another MC.
I see. They hadn't told you before the pageants that they were changing MCs. Did they introduce the MC?
They, from what I know, when I was in there, Yvette was the person speaking as the chairperson, and the MC came up and began, and there was no other formal indication of what or who he was.
Yeah, so you had no way of knowing who the MC was.
I took it for granted from all the information I had compiled that it was Jay Johnson of WTLC.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then when the pageant was over, you helped with the pictures.
Right. I did I talked with you and about the Muncie paper, and then I did the pictures, sent one to the Indianapolis News regarding the winner, since she was a Shortridge High School graduate.
You helped the photographer get the pictures that we needed.
Right. We got up on the stage at the end of the show. Mm-hmm.
And get everybody identified and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And then you followed up With the cut lines and the hometown releases and so on.
Right.
Okay. What kind of success did you have with this?
Well, one picture and a small cut line made the cover of the Indianapolis News on the Thursday night following the pageant with Carrie Bingham. And as far as the others go, I really don't think they were as...
We don't know yet because the clippings haven't come.
Right.
They may still come.
Right, but I felt, as we all did, that the front page picture was a help, and I think that gave me an insight of what I was trying to do and gave me a little reassurance that what I was doing was actually doing something very productive.
Okay. For future reference on Miss Blackwell State Pageant. You think of anything else?
Other than the, just being able to compile the sheets, the information sheets beforehand, because there are so many girls that begin the pageant and then only, well, for instance, to give this not a general example, but a direct example, there were 15 contestants, or 16, when we first took the assignment, and we ended up from this year for the pictures, because apparently she got away before we could get pictures of her. So whoever does do the story should realize this and be ready to grab anyone they can for the pictures at the end.
Apparently she thinks her job's over.
I think so.
Okay. Let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to ask you. Oh, did you have an information form for them to fill out?
The gold sheets were filled out by the contestants. Mm-hmm.
And they're in your folder for future
Yes,
reference. Okay.
yes,
Then you gave them you gave these information sheets for the girls to fill out way back when they were early in the game of being contestants.
Well, actually, Karen.
Okay. Yeah, and as I recall, we took a lot of pictures of people that didn't materialize when we came back after the extended break.
Next year, if we might be able to get the actual contestants, we may be able to save photographers some time and money, and ourselves some time and money, by actually getting those contestants, which will be in the show, and not just twice as many.
Now, from your folder there, and I hope that you see the importance of keeping things, including all your notes.
Right.
We learned early in the game that you better keep your notes, because sometimes you have to refer back to them in unusual ways at unusual times.
Right.
As well, and then, of course, I think I told you when you first came in here that you want to keep copies of everything you've written,
Mm-hmm.
because in case a client would ask you whether you had done something, or challenge whether you'd done
Mm-hmm.
something, that you'd have that material.
I've received a complaint from my practicum advisor because he is arguing the point that it seems I want a whole file cabinet drawer for my practicum work as compared to everyone else in the class, and I feel that's a compliment in a way.
You mean he doesn't think you should save all that?
No. That's his way of saying that I'm doing more work in the class than anyone else.
No. That's all right. He's a what?
He has a whole drawer full.
Uh-huh.
Oh, is that right? Oh, well, good. There are 2 or 3 things that out of this experience, or maybe some of the others that you've done, I hope that you get out of this practicum course, and we really haven't had a chance to visit with you, so we'll visit with you right now.
Okay.
One is that the importance of saving your material. Now, there is a point at which you're going to want to clean out your file drawers, but after, next year when you come up to the point that you do the same account again, and after you got it going, and then you could start throwing things out. But there is a great deal of value in saving things, because it will save you time next year when you get ready to
Mm-hmm.
to repeat this, because you can look back quickly and see what you did and when you did it. And if it wasn't exactly the way you wanted to do it, then maybe you've got a note in there to do it thus and such.
And it seems so much like that with the time factor that I didn't realize with deadlines and all how important time really is. And with these folders, you can eliminate a lot of the things that would take extra time, which aren't really necessary.
There's one other thing, too, that I think you need to get from all this experience, and those who get more into journalism probably pick it up, and that is you have to watch for the people who are going to give you accurate information and the people that are not going to give you accurate information. Now, sometimes they don't do it deliberately, but sometimes they will mislead you, because they have a tendency to think that once it's past their mind that it becomes a fact, and it hasn't. So you have to watch that kind of person, and then you have to watch the person who sometimes becomes over enthusiastic and gets carried away with something, and that can boomerang on you too. I know the first year that I did a magazine, a teacher died in Miami County, I guess it was, Indiana, and left stepchildren. Her husband had already died, and she left these stepchildren, and some principal came down with a hard luck story about how destitute these children were going to be, and they were still in high school, and they had no money. And we ran an article in the magazine that they really needed help. And it wasn't too long after that I heard from a lawyer saying that that family didn't need help at all. They owned half of Miami County. So you have to kind of watch even people with good intentions that they get carried away.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to stay right with it and sort this wheat from the shaft, as we say out in farm country, to be sure that whoever is giving you the information, that you're getting accurate information. Now, on this particular kind of an account, you have to be especially vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in the first place, if you're getting it from students, students don't stay with it and don't work on the detail, maybe that an adult sponsor might.
When we first started this coverage of the pageant also, I might remind Karen that we were told it was the Miss Black Ball State Scholarship Pageant, and I investigated this because I was leery of the fact that it was a scholarship program, and indeed there were no scholarships to be given. It was basically cash awards and awards by merchants. So if we would have used that as a scholarship, although all the students had told me it was Miss Black Ball State Scholarship Pageant, it really wasn't. So.
And likewise, scholarship was not a factor in the girls being contestants.
Right.
So the word scholarship is misleading.
Right. Very misleading.
And there's what we call it, accuracy in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Consumerism's entering in here. So you have to be careful with that.
Call in the FTC.
Yeah. Okay. Many other experiences we think we might draw from this, and this is a good example. It's not the toughest case we've ever had, nor is it, but it has some elements to it that make for good.
I think the amazing thing is to start early.
Yeah.
And to keep prodding for information. And to keep double checking.